Hello, everyone, and welcome to WINENJIRU Conversations. My name is Wanjiro Morethi from WINENJIRU Exclusives. We are targeting stakeholders and key people in the wines and spirits industry in Kenya. And today we are so honored to have Kalika Ruperalia of Mia Wines Limited. Is it Mia Wines or Mia Wines and Spirits?
Well, we are Mia Wines and Spirits, but we still are only Mia Wines.
Great. Mia meaning 100 in Swahili.
Yes, so basically when we started our business, our aim was to have 100 wines in our portfolio. So Mia is the Swahili word for 100. And we got to a point where today we are at 216 wines, but we don't want to change our name. We actually really like our name. So
you may have to go to Elfu Wines, right?
Elfu Wines,
a thousand wines eventually.
1,000 wines eventually, yeah.
Great. So you've been in this business for very long. And I want to know, before wine, what was Kalika doing?
So this is very interesting. I've been in this business now for 18 years.
Wow.
And before this, I was in school. I was actually studying to be a chartered accountant, and I came back as a chartered accountant and decided I didn't want to practice. And here I am today, 18 years later, selling wine.
All that struggle for being a chartered accountant and then letting it all go to do the wine thing. So was there already a wine business ready for you, or had your interest been sparked by something for you to get into the business?
So it's ironic. It's a lovely story because it's almost a controversial story for us because our family, we don't drink alcohol, we don't eat meat. So many years ago, my father had invested in a French wine business and used to import French wines, even though he never drank wine. And this was fantastic because he learned the wine business when he worked in Harrods in the UK.
Oh, wow.
And so he ran delicatessens and he worked in the wine department there. So he knew the business. He just had never drunk wine or tasted wine. So many years later, he invested in this business. And unfortunately, he just didn't have time to run it. So when I came back as a chartered accountant, he said to me, what do you want to do? I said, I want to restart that business.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful journey to be able to start something from scratch, for lack of a better word, because we had all this fantastic wine, but we had nobody to sell it to because back in 2001, people didn't really know what a Chateauneuf du Pape was, or the general public didn't. There were the select few who understood a Chateauneuf du Pape, who understood a Médoc, a Grave, and we had these fabulous wines, but nowhere to sell them.
Wow.
So it's been a fantastic journey of learning for me, just trying to understand what Kenyans are looking for, what works, what doesn't work in this market, and just also seeing the gradual development of the palate. In 2001, I'd say we would probably sell 50 cases of rosé in a year. And now we're doing almost 15 times that much in a year.
Wow.
So just seeing that transition from no rosé drinking to lots of rosé drinking, has been a phenomenal journey.
Okay, so there's been some movement in the tastes and styles of wine, but that's very interesting. A family that doesn't drink wine selling wine. I don't understand that.
Well, we didn't drink wine then. I beg to differ now.
You beg to differ now, yeah. And on the 18 years history, if you were a bottle, you'd still be very young and fresh because you don't look a day over 18. So well done on that, right?
Thank you.
Okay, so chartered accountant away, you start this business. Take us through that journey. Did you have to get qualifications to do the wine thing, or was it more relying on your business persona?
So it was very interesting. It became a passion. So a lot of the learning happened on the job, but a lot of it happened when I traveled.
Okay.
So I went to Bordeaux École du Vin. I went to the London Wine School. The Cape Wine Academy courses were being offered in Kenya. So I got up to diploma level here with the Cape Wine Academy. And obviously, a lot of learning happens when you meet farmers, when you meet winemakers, when you attend wine tastings. So for me, the whole wine journey is not just about being in a classroom and learning. It's about meeting people because you learn from people.
Meeting people and tasting wine while you're meeting the people as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so what particular aspect of the wine value chain do you enjoy most? I know you're an importer, distributor, retailer. What part of the wine journey do you enjoy the most?
I think for me, the people part of it. So whether I, with the exception of the tax man and Kebs, let's not talk about those people, but the other people. So I love meeting people. I love meeting the farmers who are growing the grapes. I love meeting the winemakers and understanding why they have done something a particular way. I love meeting my customers and, you know, sharing my passion with them. You know, and obviously teaching my team why why this product is so unique, because they all will look at me and be like, it's a grape, how can it smell like lemons? It's a grape, like, you know, or how can it smell like honey, or how can it smell like gooseberry? You know, it's a grape. And I think for me that's where the magic happens in those conversations.
Great, great, great. And you're someone who really invests a lot in education. I know you've talked about the Cape Wine Academy, a really good qualification. I've not yet seen you in a WSET class. I won't hold that against you. But you invest a lot in education. So I know there was actually a time when we had a 6-month program for your staff, and everybody was involved, from the driver to the accountant to the cashier and everything.
Yeah.
Why would you take such a big investment for your staff people?
So I strongly believe that you cannot appreciate the grape or understand the value of the grape unless you learn about it. And I think that's with anything, right? When you study it, and I think it is our responsibility to give that opportunity to everyone.
Yes.
Because everyone has the opportunity to pass that knowledge on, right? And so for me, when you came very kindly and did that 6-month intensive program with our team, you know, the feedback was fantastic, because even my drivers who didn't understand that there were 6 different red grapes were able to say, you know, we know the difference now between a Cabernet Sauvignon and a Merlot and a Shiraz.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. If somebody at that level can taste a wine and be able to tell you what grape it is.
Grape it is, exactly.
It shows that we've done something right, because he just goes home and he actually can share that in his social circle, in his community, you know, he can share that knowledge.
And it's not just about packing boxes and looking at bottles that you don't even have an idea what's inside.
And it's not just about the operations of it. It's about understanding why it's important. You know, why is that delivery so important?
Yes.
You know, why is opening that bottle and tasting it so important?
At the right temperature, in the right glass, and for the right occasion.
Exactly.
Yeah. So take us through your business. You've come in, there was an importing business in place, and now you're getting into sales. But right now, of course, you have a whole establishment, and what I hear is it's still growing.
Yeah, no. So we're very lucky. We've been very blessed. We have some fantastic brands. Back in 2007, we launched our own brand, Mara Wines. And then, so we basically started with a red and a white. And then 3 years ago, pre-COVID, we did 2 sweets, which was a Tamu Rosé and a Tamu Red. Now, Tamu in Swahili means sweet. So basically, we wanted to do something Kenyan, because we are Kenyans. We said we want to do something Kenyan. And we tried growing grapes here, but weren't very happy with the quality. And then we decided, you know what? There is system, there is protocol set up. Let's do this in South Africa. So we actually make this wine in South Africa. We have a team of winemakers there.
Okay.
We get our grapes exclusively from 2 farms, and then our team actually makes the wine. So we have Chenin Blanc in the white, Cab Merlot in the red, and these 2 are blends. The sweets are actually blends, and they're low alcohol, so they're only 7% alcohol.
7% only, wow.
Yeah, and they're perlés, so they're slightly bubbly.
Okay.
So lovely, easy drinking, fresh, and stuff that in Kenya, food is very important. I'm sure you know this. You know, our vegetables are super fresh, our meat is super fresh. So we wanted a wine that actually goes with everything. So whether you're eating your nyama choma, or you're having, you know, Indian food, or you're having Chinese food or Italian food, I didn't want a wine that overpowers the food. I wanted a wine that complements the food. You know, that pronounces the freshness of our fruit and vegetables here. So that's kind of where we are with the Mara. And then we represent almost 17 other brands in Kenya. So brands from Argentina. One of my favorite brands is actually the Blue Nun from Germany, because it's something from my great-grandfather's days, because it was the first wine ever imported into Kenya.
Wow.
So we still actually import that.
Okay.
And we have some Argentinian wines from Familia Zuccardi. We have some Chilean wines from Santa Carolina. And we have a couple of French wines, a couple of other German wines. So we have a rather large portfolio. But the majority of our house sits with Robertson and Mara.
Yes.
And then we also import the chocolate block. And, we have some Michelin wines like, Springfield Estate, the Lima, wines that are actually targeted to, Michelin star restaurants, that kind of level.
You're very, very lucky. But first, coming to Mara, the power of branding and the power of this is that I actually once bought a bottle of Mara wine and took to my friends in South Africa saying, here is a Kenyan wine, until we realized it was actually a private label.
Yeah.
So the power of brand building over time. I'm not sure what vintage you're on now.
We are now on 2021.
But then, the number of years you've been private labeling the Mara.
Since 2006.
And six, that's a very long time,
Yeah.
really. So that heritage and the power of that branding was really good. And I'm sure everybody in the Mara has your wine, right?
Yes, they do.
No, very, very classic. And I think that is the power of the opportunities in the market that you can private label. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, you still have the other brands and big names that you distribute to various hotels and restaurants. And
Yeah.
of course, even on the premium end as well.
And we've been very lucky with the Mara label. So last year, during not the height of COVID, but the tail end of COVID,
Yes.
we were actually able to ship out Mara to the US. We've been
Wow.
exporting to Canada, to Austria, to Thailand. So whilst Mara is Kenyan,
Yes.
right, the quality of the wine has been appreciated internationally.
Wow.
And we actually won 2 awards last year. So if you see our white,
Oh, yes.
we got a gold on our white and we got a silver on our red
Oh,
at the US
wow.
wine ratings. So it's been an incredible journey because I promise
Wow.
you this tastes much better than our first vintage.
I love it. You're leaving this behind, aren't you?
Of course.
Anyway, how much of your production then of your portfolio is dedicated to Mara? Is it 50%? Of your portfolio.
So that's a bit of a tricky question because are you looking volume-wise or are you looking value-wise?
Whatever numbers you give us, just to give an understanding how perhaps where your focus is, right?
So I'd say 40% of our business is actually Mara.
Wow.
Yeah, 40% is Mara. It's our own label.
And is that where you want to reach it, or you want to increase it to a higher percentage?
We definitely want to grow it, and we're looking at regional and global growth.
Wow.
International growth, and that's where our focus has been for the last 2 years. And we are seeing, fruits of that labor coming through now.
Great.
Yeah.
I really, really love it. Really great story. There is a sparkling wine as well. Please tell us about that.
Yes, so we have a wonderful sparkling called the Mara Celebration. So back in 2012, Caroline Mutoko came to see me, and she's a dear friend, and she said to me, she says, Kalika, Kenya at 50 is happening, and we're not going to have any souvenirs for Kenya at 50. Why don't you make a champagne for Kenya at 50? And I looked at her and I said, it's August and Kenya at 50 is in December. So to make this wine and to get it imported into Kenya, this is a stretch. And she looked at me and she said, we need a souvenir for Kenya at 50. And so I challenge everybody I meet now, do you have a souvenir for Kenya at 50?
No, I
Wanjiru?
don't.
Why not? Why not? You're Kenyan. You saw Kenya at 50.
I did. I need to buy that bottle and keep the bottle as a souvenir,
yeah,
right?
you drink it, you keep it. It's a beautiful souvenir to have. It's
Yes.
a beautiful bottle. Unfortunately, I didn't bring it today. But so we went down to South Africa, and what we decided was, because it's such a prestigious moment, we didn't want to make a sparkling wine. We wanted to actually do an MCC. So made in champagne style, hand turned. And believe it or not, the wine arrived here on the 15th of November, exactly a month before our 50th celebration. So we were able to, get it out and get people to, have a souvenir.
Wow.
So if you don't have a souvenir, please contact us. We will still be able to send you a Kenya at 50,
Kenya at
50 bottle.
Wow. What was the production volume for that?
I think we did 4,000 bottles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. If someone wants to start their own private label, like WINENJIRU,
That would be a good idea.
what should they be looking for? What should they consider?
I think having a huge marketing budget is probably your biggest investment, because you can make wine fairly simply or label wine fairly simply.
Okay.
But it requires a lot of investment in marketing and advertising
Okay.
to be able to make it work.
Okay.
right? And be very willing to give out lots of free samples. So I think the brand, and then I think stay the course of it, consistency,
Consistency,
right?
yeah.
Consistency is very important, because
Okay.
if you stop, and it's very easy to get disheartened, in the early days. It's taken us 15 odd years now, 14 odd years now to get to where we are with our Mara brand.
Wow.
And there have been many challenging moments where we wondered, should we continue or should we kill it?
Yeah.
But
Wow. But consistency is key, and you're still here because it's profitable.
it is profitable now. I can't say it was profitable in the first 7 years.
Okay.
I remember at one point just hoping to break even. I'm like, if we break even, we're okay.
Wow. And this is the accountant talking. So
This is the accountant talking.
Quite a big challenge.
We joke about this. The accountant in me always says that I run a wine business, but actually I'm a banker. I'm
Wow.
not really a wine sommelier or a wine professional, because my business is all about credit.
Okay.
Right? It's financing other people's businesses. So I give you my stock. You will take 6 months, 8 months, a year to pay me, right? And so I have to make the numbers work.
Okay.
Right? So I think if you are looking to get into the wine industry, it's important to be very clear that you're actually a bank.
A banker, not a...
Not a trading business, at least not on this side of the world.
Very, very kind words. So who complements the other side of the business? If you're the number crunching one who's holding everything back and chasing the numbers, which other people play the other roles to make the business
So I'm
succeed?
blessed. My mother is actually the heart of this business.
Oh, wow.
So we started this business together, and it was very interesting. She was a housewife for 25 years before she actually joined the business.
Wow.
And I went to her and I said, please just, let's start this business and let's see what happens. And it's amazing because she's in before me and she leaves after me.
Wow.
She is even more passionate about how they are stored, the quality of the wine, and she has a very simple ethos. She says, we will not sell anything we don't drink.
We don't drink, yeah.
And it's a very tough stance to take in our industry, because it's very easy to sort of pick something that is highly profitable but not really, ethically or emotionally enjoyable, for lack of a better word. And she was very clear. She says, we can't drink it, we're not
You're
selling,
selling
it.
it, yes.
Yeah. So if it does not meet your health standards, it does not meet, these requirements, then we're not putting it in our portfolio, and it's fantastic. And then my mom, she's very spiritual, she's very connected. She was very passionate about the fact that we must give back to our community. Whilst the wine is made in South Africa, the beets are actually made by women here in Samburu and in the Mara. And we believe that finance is the least taught subject in the world. So we believe that instead of giving them a handout, we teach them how to manage money. So we pay them with a profit, but then we encourage them to build a borehole, a school, to buy beds, to have proper sanitation facilities, to invest in to have running water, those kind of things.
Okay, great. And true, I remember your mom actually also attended the classes, which which was very, very remarkable.
I know she didn't taste anything, but she did attend.
She did. And I think she also did the exam, I'm not sure.
She did, I remember.
So really commitment to the whole process and not standing back aloof watching.
And thank you for marking all those papers. Those were lots of them. And writing that exam.
And writing that exam. I'm just waiting for the next 6 months. I think we're long overdue for that one.
I think we are too.
Or to do a local competition, sponsored by you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So what do you think about the ecosystem? I mean, you're not the only player in the market. Increasingly, a lot of women-led businesses are the ones, are most of the importing companies. But what's that like? You already mentioned your love for the Taxman, Kenya Revenue Authority, and the Kenya Kenya Bureau of Standards. Yes.
No, so the environment has gotten increasingly competitive. So when we started our business, we were 3 players in the market.
Wow.
When I randomly log into the KRA system and I see how many importers there are, and at last count there were like 300.
Wow. On the system?
On the system. Those are the official importers. So I look at it and I go, oh, okay, there's a lot of wine. And we see this now when we go into the supermarket and we go into premium retail. You now have 70 different varieties of whiskey, which we didn't have 10 years ago. You go into Carrefour and there's 1,600 SKUs for wine, which is a lot of wine.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of wine for a supermarket store to have on their shelves. But I strongly believe there is space for everyone, and I think that it's the Kenyan consumer that benefits from all this competition. We do as importers struggle with KEBs, and we do struggle with KRA. I know a lot of my customers who've been shut down by KRA, especially, and a lot of people who couldn't survive COVID, right, and had to just, pack up shop. But I think if you're in this game for a long time, it is fruitful. But I don't think the margins are what it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I think at some point we now need to be realistic as to how much you can grow a business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there any particular region that you think is hotter than the other? Every so often people are saying, yes, South African wines have been the largest in volume. And I guess having your own private label from that country could also be the same for you. But is there any region that you see is coming along as the new kid on the block?
So, it's very interesting because I think it's a seasonal thing, and at the moment Argentina seems to, be something that everybody's talking about, everybody's enjoying. Even for us, Fusion now, we have lots of people who are enjoying our Malbecs. We currently carry 8 Malbecs.
8 of them.
Like, I honestly sometimes I'm like, we have 8 Malbecs. That's a lot of Malbec. But there's demand for it, right? So, but I think it's seasonal. I think we're very quickly catching up on. We're following the international market in terms of when it's popular in the UK. Like gin was super popular. Now gin is super popular in Kenya.
Yeah.
I think we quickly catch on because Kenyans are very well traveled, very well educated, and have good posts in different countries, so, and they bring that home.
Yeah.
Which is important. Yeah.
Okay. So the opportunities for new entrants or perhaps even for the existing people to grow?
There's lots of opportunity. I think education is still huge. There's still, even though we have WSET and other providers, I think there's definitely scope for education here. In terms of product, I'm a little bit skeptical because I see a lot of products come and go, right? And and on a weekly basis, I get a lot of throwaway price offers. Like we imported a container, we haven't been able to sell it. Will you take it off? So I take it off us, and I see a lot of that happening.
Okay.
But my big concern is that anybody getting into this industry needs to be prepared for the parallel imports into the market because that is a huge problem, and that is something KRA does need to ramp down on. They do need to get a hold of that because it makes it a very unfair playing field for everyone else. When the parallel import is coming by road or whatever, the tax is not being paid. I think parallel imports really needs to be managed.
Is there a specific brand that has suffered, especially from those?
So for us, we've seen a lot of parallel import on our Robertson wines, the natural sweet. But I think where we have been very lucky is that we've always had consistency of supply. So that comes and it goes, like it does. But if you want a solid, regular, consistent supply at a fair price, then you come. And then if you need the legal documentation, obviously, right?
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
Chocolate block, you're responsible for a lot of...
Yeah.
I once got a call. Kalika's run out. We need chocolate block. Where do we get it from? And I wish I could have flown to South Africa and brought back a suitcase.
Can I tell you, it's ironic because our allocation is only 150 cases for our entire country.
Wow.
So we get 150 cases a year, and I promise you it's gone like this.
It sells out, you pre-sell it.
Yeah, we pre-sell it, we pre-take the payment on it, and it comes and it goes. So like we have at the moment in the office, we have a 6-liter and we have a 3-liter.
Oh my.
So if you are looking for a 6-liter bottle, please do call me. And if you're looking for a 3-liter, I also have some 3-liter.
Okay, super. That's good to note.
Yeah.
And everybody who's listening who wants to buy me a gift. But then a lot of times I used to use chocolate block to measure wine lists, and of course the different pricing along with, of course, the more premium French champagnes. And it's always amazing the markups for that particular wine especially, I guess because it was so popular. I mean, in some places it had gone to 45,000 shillings a bottle, which is ridiculous for something that costs...
Yeah. It's so... I think, and so I was asked this morning when I was with another client, they're like, so do you give a recommended retail price? I said, I do give it,
yes,
but clients can choose to listen to me or not, you know?
True, yes.
And I think it's also the opportunity side of it, right? if you can sell it for more and you have a customer willing to pay
Willing
it,
to
then
pay.
then the customer, like my customer, will say, why not? I have a customer willing to pay me that 45,000.
Wow.
So why not? Why are you controlling it? That said, like our taxes in Kenya, as you know, are pretty exorbitant, right? So it is a very difficult market price-wise.
Price-wise.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think are the challenges that could cripple the industry? Of course, we're a young market, we're growing, but then what could cripple or what could really, really make it
So
difficult for
post-COVID,
people?
the two major challenges that we've had, one has been supply with the shipping lines.
Shipping,
The shipping, and this can make or break your brand right now, because we haven't had Mara in the market for the last 6 weeks.
Wow.
Okay, so that obviously affects our numbers crazily. But now it's back, and now we're pushing it back. But can you imagine if we hadn't had it in the market for 6 months?
Wow, that's a long
The
time.
impact.
The impact.
Consumers forget. They forget. They move on. They find something else to be lower. So I think the shipping, and also now the at the moment importation's a real headache because of all the KEBS standards, and they're not having somebody to give you a certificate of conformity on the other side. They've actually gone and disbanded SGS and
Oh,
Bureau
really?
Veritas, and they're looking for new providers now. So I think that is going to be a huge challenge, because right now you are at the mercy of your container arriving here and them charging you accordingly based on the value of the container for whether the wines conform to the Kenyan market or not.
Or not, yes.
As opposed to what was a fixed cost before per container, and you could import wine. So I think those two things could cripple the industry. So brands that have done very well in the past may disappear.
Wow.
Right? They may disappear because it just takes too long to get them in, customers move on. And also the Kenyan government not making it easy to import will force a lot of people to rethink whether the value is there in importation. Because remember, you are paying your supplier up front, you are paying your shipping line up front, you're paying your taxes up front, and then you are getting paid 60, 90, 120, 190 days after you sell the bottle. So even if you sold everything on day one, which you don't, right? You sell it over a couple of months or whatever. It would take time. Like, is the return on investment still really there?
Still really there, yeah.
Yeah.
You're very keen on those numbers, and I can hear the accountant coming out more than I've ever heard her before.
Yeah.
It's coming back to the numbers, even though the product is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to consider, and perhaps maybe we need specialists even looking at that side of the business. It's not just, this wine, it's a hobby business anymore, it's a lifestyle business. Certainly not. The number crunching has to be really, really important.
I think so, especially as we have so many young entrepreneurs getting into this wine space. And you see a lot of younger people importing wine now, bringing in new brands from their holidays or whatever. And I think it's important for them to understand the intricacies of it, because it looks very glamorous, and you know this.
Yeah.
You've done this for many years as well. So it looks very glamorous, but there's a lot of hard work that goes into making sure this product is here and available.
Very true, very true.
Yeah.
I'm going to be taking my numbers more seriously because of you, but then maybe
I hope so.
Accounting was not my best subject, but now to understand the numbers and to be able to run a business efficiently. I had wanted to be an importer at the beginning.
Yeah,
but
I remember.
It became very clear that it wasn't going to work for me at all. So hopefully providing the services, supporting the businesses, works for the ecosystem as well.
But, I'm not saying that you can't import in the future. I think you've learned so much over the last couple of years that you've been doing this, that you'd probably be better at it because you understand it better than people who have not been in the industry, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely do. Right. Is there particular plans about where you want to take your industry to? You're telling me this whole space is now a warehouse. You were talking about employing a whole bunch of people. Do you want to tell us where that is coming from and what your...
So, obviously with COVID was a very stressful time, especially 2020, so it's very interesting. As time passes, your business changes. So during the time of Nakumat, we were very supermarket focused. Nakumat collapsed. We suffered a big loss. So we said, okay, now we need to focus on restaurants and hotels. And then COVID happened and they shut down and bars weren't allowed to sell alcohol, and so obviously I believe the business is very dynamic. And so going forward, yes, we are growing, we are expanding, both locally and regionally. And we have a lot of cool things that we're going to be doing in the next couple of years. So we're very excited with our 5-year plan, which you should have one also, by the way.
Okay, super.
Ask me for one of those booklets.
We'll be here for it to document it and continue with your, with your journey. As a parting shot, your favorite wine? I know it's a very difficult question.
Oh, God.
Favorite wine and why? There has to be that one.
So it's very interesting, and this I say with my hand on my heart. My mentor is actually Jeanette Brewer of Springfield Estate.
Wow.
And she has a lovely red wine called The Work of Time.
Wow.
And this is probably my favoriteest wine. And so I turned 40 a few months ago, and my husband said to me, he says, what do you want? I said, I want a case of The Work of Time. And he looked at me and says, but you import it. I said, I still want my old case. And I think I love the beauty of that story, because I believe that, again, we are all the work of time. And she would tell you, she met me when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
The first time she met me, and I went to her and I said, listen, I want to import your wines to Kenya. She looked at me. I was a young Indian girl who had never drunk alcohol. And I was there saying, please give me your label. And she's somebody who actually supplies Michelin star restaurants, so she just looked at me. She says, okay, take it to Kenya. And then she's been so kind and visited Kenya every year.
Wow.
For the last 20 years. Just to check on her brand and
Wow.
check on her baby. So definitely The Work of Time, for sure.
I love that wine too. I love Springfield Estate.
Yeah.
But more so, I can see how people will describe you the same way you're describing her. There's someone there who'll be saying, Kalika took an interest in me
I
and
hope
has
so.
taken me through this process over time. So that's very, very fitting. Whenever I think of the wine,
You'll remember
I'll
me.
be thinking of you. But I'm waiting for you then to have your own special premium wine under whatever name to come through.
Thank you. I hope so one day.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining us and just sharing such nuggets about your experience in the business. This is only the beginning. We look forward to having more time with you, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Thanks, darling.
Thank you. That's it for now. See you.